Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we are going to unpack something truly fascinating. We're looking at a humble desert plant, something you'd probably just walk right past without a second glance, that actually harbors some seriously incredible metabolic powers. We're going to completely deconstruct the science behind the Opuntia cactus. We'll be breaking down two highly rigorous clinical trials to see exactly how this resilient plant operates inside the human body. So get ready, because the data we're looking at today is a perfect example of what happens when ancient traditions meet modern, peer-reviewed science.
I know, it sounds a little out there, right? Can a cactus really fight the global metabolic crisis? But I want you to just think about the sheer scale of the problem we're facing today. The escalating global health crisis of obesity and diabetes, it isn't just a distant statistic, it's a high-stakes, real-world emergency that medical professionals are desperately trying to solve. We are constantly on the lookout for safe, effective, and natural solutions to help our bodies manage the modern diet. And believe it or not, that search has led researchers straight to the desert.
Look, the numbers are they're staggering. We're talking over 50% of adults in the European Union and an astonishing 68.8% of adults in the US being classified as overweight or obese. Meanwhile, over in South Korea, 1 in 4 individuals is at a high risk for prediabetes. Let me talk to you directly for a second. If you, or maybe someone you love, falls into that 25% high-risk prediabetes category, or even just struggles with weight management, the information in this explainer is going to be incredibly relevant to you. We aren't just talking about abstract numbers here. We're talking about our health, our longevity, and potentially a really amazing natural way to intervene.
Here is how we're breaking it all down today. First, we'll meet the prickly pear. Second, we'll see how it acts as a biological fat sponge. Third, taming blood sugar spikes. Fourth, we'll do the safety check. And finally, we'll look at the future of prevention. Let's get right into it. All right, Section 1, meet the prickly pear, where ancestral remedy meets modern science.
So, for centuries, traditional cultures have utilized Opuntia ficus indica. You probably know it as the Nopal or the prickly pear cactus. They used it for everything from wound healing to fatigue. Mexican, Native American, and traditional Chinese cultures crucially used it for managing conditions that we now understand as metabolic disorders. It is an incredibly fiber-rich plant. But what we're doing today is taking this plant out of the realm of folklore and putting it directly under the microscope. We're going to look at the hard data to see if peer-reviewed science actually backs up its growing reputation as a metabolic superfood.
Moving on to Section 2, a biological fat sponge. Let's talk about the excretion trial. And right off the bat, our first source isn't some observational guesswork. It's a 45-day, double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled crossover study published in Current Therapeutic Research, which is an Elsevier journal. In the world of clinical science, this level of controlled study is exactly what we want to see when we're trying to validate a natural compound. To truly get what they found, you got to understand how they set it up. 20 healthy subjects were put on a highly controlled, standardized diet where exactly 35% of their daily energy came from fat. Now, that crossover methodology you see means every subject acted as their own control. It's considered the gold standard because you are literally competing against yourself. They did a baseline week, then a 7-day intervention with either the cactus fiber or a placebo. Then they had a washout period to clear their system, a second baseline, and finally, they switched to whatever pill they didn't take the first time around, taking 2 tablets 3 times a day with their main meals. It's an incredibly rigorous setup.
Now, the stool sample analysis revealed something pretty incredible. The researchers collected and analyzed these samples to measure exactly how much fat was passing through the body completely unabsorbed. When taking the placebo, subjects excreted about 4.56% of their dietary fat. But when they took the standardized Opuntia fiber, well, that number skyrocketed to 15.79%. That is a massive, statistically significant increase in fat that was quite literally bound by the cactus fiber in the gut and simply excreted out, never even making it into the bloodstream.
But let's humanize this data for a second. Percentages are great, but what does that actually mean for your body on a daily basis? That 15.79% excretion translates to roughly 15.11 grams of fat physically blocked from absorption. Since fat carries 9 calories per gram, that creates a real-world, totally passive deficit of 136 calories every single day.
And when researchers project that out using metabolic models, the results are really staggering. Maintaining this passive daily deficit of 136 calories could lead to a tangible weight loss of about 3 kilograms, that's nearly 6.6 pounds, over the course of 1 year.
And keep in mind, that is achieved simply by blocking the absorption of fat you're already eating, without changing a single thing about your diet or exercise routine. It's a purely mechanical intervention happening right in your digestive tract, acting almost like a biological plumbing filter.
Which brings us to Section 3, Taming Blood Sugar Spikes, the Glucose Trial. So, if our first study looked at healthy individuals losing fat mechanically in the gut over a short period, our second trial heads over to South Korea to see how this plant operates systemically in the blood. Here, the focus shifts to a group of 72 participants over a 12-week, double-blind, randomized clinical trial. And crucially, this group included individuals who were specifically diagnosed with impaired fasting glucose, meaning they're pre-diabetic, standing right on the very edge of a full metabolic disorder. The results over those 12 weeks were, frankly, remarkable. For the participants in the pre-diabetic group taking the Opuntia extract, researchers saw a significant reduction in their fasting blood glucose levels. They dropped from an average of about 112 milligrams per deciliter down to 102. They effectively took these individuals and nudged their baseline blood sugar right back toward the safe, healthy zone. And the placebo group? Yeah, they saw no significant changes at all. Furthermore, the study mapped out exactly how the cactus responds to acute stress. They subjected the participants to an oral glucose tolerance test. Basically, here's how that works. You fast, you take the cactus extract, and then you drink 75 grams of pure, heavy liquid glucose. It is a massive sugar bomb designed to completely spike your blood. The researchers then measured the blood at the 60 and 120-minute marks, and the data showed that the Opuntia extract actually smoothed out those post-meal sugar spikes, significantly lowering blood glucose levels at both the 1-hour and 2-hour marks compared to the placebo. It essentially acts like a biological buffer, just slowing down the rush of sugar into the bloodstream. All right, Section 4, the safety check, protecting the organs. Now, when we start talking about introducing natural remedies that actually alter how we absorb fat and sugar, it is a very common and completely valid fear to wonder if they might secretly be taxing the body's filtration systems over time. Is it wrecking my liver? But you'll be incredibly relieved to see this data. Comprehensive testing throughout the 12-week Korean trial showed absolutely no toxicity. Liver function indicators, enzymes like AST and ALT, they remained perfectly normal. Kidney waste markers like BUN and creatinine, also completely safe. Across both clinical trials, there were no clinically significant adverse effects reported. The Opuntia extract maintained a highly favorable safety profile, meaning it actually manages your metabolic markers without causing any collateral damage to your vital organs.
And finally, Section 5, the future of prevention, using a natural multi-tool. When we step back and synthesize all this data we've just gone through, we see this isn't just some mild health trend. We are looking at a highly functional, dual-action botanical multi-tool. I really love this quote straight from the researchers in the Korean trial because it just beautifully and succinctly summarizes our findings today. They concluded that Opuntia extract may be a safe and effective natural option for blood glucose regulation, particularly in pre-diabetic individuals. It has the distinct, proven potential to help delay or even entirely prevent the progression of impaired glucose tolerance into full-blown diabetes, all while simultaneously acting as a mechanical barrier to fat absorption in the gut.
So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. We just looked at rigorous peer-reviewed data proving that a single, humble desert cactus can safely act as both a biological fat sponge and a systemic sugar stabilizer. It really forces us to ask what other incredible natural biological multi-tools are out there just waiting to be validated by modern science. The natural world is full of these complex biochemical solutions, and as we've seen today, sometimes the most powerful tools for our modern metabolic crisis have been growing quietly out in the desert all along. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next one.